Hi, Film Loom here. Today I'm going to explain a war/drama movie called War Horse. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In 1914, a young boy named Albert Narracott from Devon witnesses the birth of a foal on his neighbor's farm. Captivated by the newborn struggling to its feet, Albert develops a deep fascination with the animal. He regularly visits Mooney's farm, forming a bond with the growing colt. However, the foal, a healthy bay Irish colt often used for show jumping, is eventually taken to the local market by Mooney to be auctioned off. Albert's father, Ted, an alcoholic struggling to make ends meet, attends the auction seeking a workhorse for his farm. Despite warnings from his friends, Ted becomes enamored with the colt and enters a bidding war with his landlord, Mr. Lyons. Driven by pride, Ted outbids Mr. Lyons, purchasing the colt for an exorbitant 30 guineas, leaving him financially strained. His wife, Rosie, is disappointed, as they needed a workhorse, not a show animal. Ted explains his actions, but Rosie is furious, concerned about how they will pay rent. Despite his mother's initial disapproval, Albert is overjoyed. He begs to keep the horse, promising to train it for farm work. Rosie, seeing her son's determination, reluctantly agrees. Albert dedicates himself to training the colt, naming it Joey. He spends countless hours working with the animal, even teaching it to respond to an owl hoot, a unique signal developed with his best friend, Andrew. This version aims for conciseness and clarity while maintaining the core narrative. Things begin to go awry when Mr. Lyons arrives at the Narracott household. It is revealed that Ted had previously borrowed money from Lyons and is now struggling to repay the loan. Ted assures Lyons that he will repay the full amount once they plow their land and harvest their crops. However, Lyons scoffs at this, pointing out that the show horse is useless for farm work. To humiliate Ted, Lyons proposes a deal. If Ted can get the horse to plow the fields, he will extend the loan repayment deadline. But if the debt remains unpaid by October, he will seize their house, farm, and the horse. Desperate, Ted attempts to put a collar on Joey, but the horse resists, pushing him off. Albert intervenes, calming Joey down and promising his father that he will train the horse. Over the following weeks, Albert tirelessly works with Joey, gradually gaining the horse's trust and teaching it to pull a plow. One afternoon, Mr. Lyons and several villagers arrive to witness Albert's progress. Feeling the pressure, Albert tries to force Joey to work, but the horse panics. The villagers watch in amusement as Albert struggles. However, just as Mr. Lyons is about to gloat, the rain begins to fall. Surprisingly, the rain softens the ground, making it easier for Joey to pull the plow. Albert, seizing the opportunity, encourages Joey forward, and to everyone's astonishment, the horse begins to plow the field. The villagers cheer, and Mr. Lyons, defeated, reluctantly agrees to extend the loan repayment deadline. Rosie and Albert have a heart-to-heart conversation in the barn. Albert expresses his frustration with his father, blaming his short temper and alcohol addiction for their predicament. Rosie, in an attempt to help her son understand his father better, reveals a secret from Ted's past. She tells Albert that Ted doesn't limp due to drunkenness, but because of a war injury sustained during the Second Boer War in South Africa, where he served as a sergeant with the Imperial Yeomanry. Rosie reveals that Ted was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal for bravery but later threw away his medals and the regimental pennant, unable to cope with the trauma of his wartime experiences. Albert, deeply moved by his father's hidden past, gains a newfound respect for him. He keeps the pennant as a reminder of his father's courage and watches as Ted, despite his struggles, continues to work on the farm. However, their respite is short-lived. A heavy storm arrives, destroying their crops. With no other option, Ted is forced to sell Joey to Captain James Nichols of the British Army to repay his debt. Albert, rushing home with the news of war declared against Germany, finds his mother sobbing. He discovers that Joey has been sold. Desperate to find his beloved horse, Albert runs back to the market, only to find that Joey has already been taken away by the army. Albert, determined to prove himself, successfully trains Joey to plow the fields. However, a devastating storm destroys their crops, forcing Ted to sell Joey to Captain James Nichols of the British Army to repay his debt. Devastated, Albert rushes to the market, only to find that Joey has already been sold. He discovers that Joey is shipped to France to serve in the British Army during World War I. Albert, unable to bear the thought of losing his beloved horse, secretly follows Joey and ties his father's regimental pennant around the horse's bridle as a symbol of his bond. In France, Joey is stationed alongside Topthorn, a majestic black horse belonging to a high-ranking officer, Major Jamie. The two horses form an unlikely friendship while undergoing rigorous military training. Captain Nichols, remembering Albert, sends sketches of Joey to ease the boy's worry. The war erupts, and the British forces charge into battle. However, the Germans ambush them with hidden machine guns, resulting in heavy casualties. Captain Nichols and Major Jamie are among the fallen. Joey and Topthorn, miraculously surviving the battle, are assigned to transport wounded soldiers to a nearby infirmary. A young German soldier, Michael, is tasked with caring for the horses. Michael and his elder brother, Gunther, attempt to desert the German army, fleeing towards Italy on Joey and Topthorn. However, they are caught and executed for their actions. A young French girl named Emily discovers the two horses abandoned in a windmill. She also finds Joey's pennant, a poignant reminder of the war's impact. Emily, who suffers from a bone disease that prevents her from riding, secretly befriends the horses. One day, German soldiers arrive at Emily's farm, confiscating food and supplies. Emily hides with Joey and Topthorn in her bedroom. Her grandfather manages to avert a confrontation, but the soldiers demand the horses as compensation. Forced to part with Joey and Topthorn, Emily's grandfather secretly keeps Joey's pennant. Joey and Topthorn are then forced to pull heavy German artillery, enduring immense hardship. They are under the care of Private Friedrich Hegelmann, a compassionate soldier who tries his best to alleviate their suffering. This version incorporates the additional plot points you provided, including Albert's attempt to find Joey, the bond between Joey and Topthorn, the tragic fate of Michael and Gunther, Emily's story, and the heartbreaking reality of the horses being used for the war effort. The captain of the German camp shows no mercy, shooting down weak horses. By 1918, Albert and Andrew have enlisted in the English army and are now fighting in the Second Battle of the Somme under the command of Mr. Lyon's son, David. Tensions remain high between Albert and David, with David mocking Albert about his owl-hooting past. During a fierce battle, Albert and David find themselves fighting side by side, momentarily forgetting their past animosity. Albert manages to neutralize a German machine gunner, allowing several English soldiers, including himself and Andrew, to reach the enemy trenches. Tragedy strikes when a mustard gas bomb explodes near Andrew, killing him. Meanwhile, Friedrich Hegelmann, the compassionate German soldier who cared for Joey, witnesses the chaos and the devastating impact of the war. Though he tries his best to protect them, Topthorn succumbs to exhaustion and dies. Friedrich, despite his own peril, is dragged away by other soldiers. Joey, alone and terrified, manages to escape the carnage. He gallops across no man's land, a lone survivor of the battlefield. That night, a British soldier named Colin spots Joey. A German soldier, Peter, also notices the horse. Recognizing a shared love for the animal, Colin and Peter, despite their enemy status, work together to free Joey from the barbed wire entanglements. After a brief struggle, Colin wins the right to claim the horse. Back in the British camp, Albert, blinded and recovering from the gas attack, overhears a discussion about a miraculous horse rescued from no man's land. The camp doctor orders Sergeant Fry to euthanize the horse, deeming it a waste of resources. As Fry prepares to shoot, Joey, disoriented but alive, hears the familiar owl hoot. The sound, a remnant of his life with Albert, triggers a powerful memory. Joey responds to the call, finally reuniting with his long-lost friend. Albert, still recovering, overhears a discussion about a rescued horse. The doctor orders it euthanized, but as Fry prepares to shoot, Joey hears Albert's familiar owl call. The horse responds, and Albert, despite his bandages, correctly describes Joey's markings. Convinced, the doctor promises to care for the horse. After the armistice, Albert learns that only officers' horses will be returned home. He desperately raises funds to buy Joey, but is outbid by Emily's grandfather. The old man, buying Joey in memory of his granddaughter, warns off other bidders. However, Joey chooses to return to Albert, as if saying goodbye. The grandfather, surprised, shows Albert the pennant Emily found, proving Joey's connection to him. Impressed, he returns Joey to Albert. Reunited with his beloved horse, Albert returns home, finally at peace. He hugs his parents, returning his father's pennant, a symbol of his courage and his son's enduring bond with Joey.